Hi guys, so of course with Christmas and New Year's right around the corner, you're probably going to be visiting friends and family that you don't always see, and there's a good chance that they'll notice your weight loss and want to talk about it, which I guess is natural. I think most people for New Year's resolutions have a goal of losing weight or getting healthy, and so, I expect these conversations to occur right around this time. But if you're on a GLP-1 medication, I also think that now is a perfect time to kind of prepare how you're going to address some of the common misconceptions that people have about these medications and about how they work. So that has actually become like a pet peeve of mine. And so today's episode is really just going to be about dispelling some of these common myths and sort of setting the record straight. One of the scariest myths out there is that these medications can cause thyroid cancer. And I know that there has to be people out there that have not started this medication because they're afraid of that. So this is what the science says. In rodent studies, yes, when rats were given extremely high doses of GLP-1 medications, they did in fact develop thyroid tumors. But none of those findings have ever been replicated in humans when given therapeutic doses of the medication. So therapeutic meaning whatever dose the FDA has approved these drugs for. So I'm not sure what it is for Ozempic or Wegovy. I know that for Zepbound and Mounjaro, the dosing schedule is 2.5 milligrams, 5 milligrams, 7.5 milligrams, 10 milligrams, 12.5 milligrams, and 15 milligrams. So it goes up in 2.5 milligram increments. At those doses, they have never found there to be a link between these medications and thyroid cancer. I think it's important to know too that the type of cancer that these rats developed, it's called medullary thyroid carcinoma, MTC for short, is pretty common in rats, but extremely rare in humans. So obviously I'm not a doctor, but unless you're giving yourself mega doses of this medication, if you're using it at the prescribed therapeutic doses, then there has never been any study suggesting that there's a link between thyroid cancer and these medications. Now, having said that, there's a pretty good chance if you have a family history of that type of cancer that your doctor might not even prescribe this medication to you. Not because there's a direct link between thyroid cancer and the medication, but just out of precaution. So again, it's so important to have a relationship with your doctor where you could be open and honest and talk these things through and come up with the right decision for you. So that's myth number one. Myth number two is that these medications cause pancreatic cancer. So a lot of people on GLP-1 medications have developed pancreatitis, and pancreatitis is just an inflammation of your pancreas. But because pancreatitis can increase your risk for cancer, this is actually something that they've paid close attention to and have done a lot of research on, and there has not been a single study that has linked this medication with pancreatic cancer. I think it's important to note, though, that a lot of people that are on this medication are type 2 diabetics, and type 2 diabetics are kind of predisposed to having pancreatitis. So that's another thing that keeps a lot of people off these medications, kind of hearing all the horror stories about the GI issues, the pancreatitis, the gastroparesis, and different things. But it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg. It's kind of hard to separate whether those are side effects of the medication, or is it because most of the people that are on the medication are predisposed to developing those things to begin with. But as far as the cancer link, there has not been there's not been any study that has linked the medication to pancreatic cancer. I cannot stress how important it is to talk to your doctor about these things and sort of assess your risk factor for thyroid cancer, pancreatic cancer, or any of these side effects. I will say, though, that a lot of the people that are quick to say that these medications cause cancer either don't know or overlook the fact that obesity actually has been linked to a higher rate of cancer. Things like breast cancer, kidney cancer, colon cancer, liver cancer. Those types of cancers actually have been linked to obesity. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be concerned at all about the risk of thyroid or pancreatic cancer, but what I'm saying is, do your own research, talk to your doctor, and figure out what your particular risk factor is for developing these types of cancers or any of the medication or any of the side effects. So a lot of times, we hear things repeated over and over, and we assume that everybody else has done the research. And what I would hate is for someone not to start on these medications because they're hearing these myths and taking them as fact, and they're getting scared off by it. So do your own research, talk to your doctor. All right, next one. Myth number 3 is that these medications melt the fat off your body. And no, that is not how they work. And the easiest, most basic way to explain it to somebody is by letting them know that this medication actually mimics a hormone that our bodies naturally make. And that hormone is responsible for regulating appetite. So when you take these medications, it allows your body to function the way it normally should. And so you're able to kind of suppress your appetite a little bit. You're not thinking about food as much, and you're able to go longer periods of time without eating, which of course will cause weight loss. That is a very elementary way of explaining it. There's a lot more nuance than that, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend to understand all of it. But that is the most basic way of explaining it to somebody. Reassure them that this is just a hormone, the same way insulin is a hormone, and that by taking this, it helps your body work the way it's supposed to. But no, it does not cause fat to just melt off your body. If it was that easy, then none of us would be worrying about exercising or making better food choices and prioritizing protein and fiber. Like, we just wouldn't need to do that. So if you're trying to maximize the results of this medication and you're doing all those things, then I think it's important to let people know that this is a tool. It's not an instant fix. So it's not something that you're just going to magically, take and every day you're just going to be losing 2 pounds a day or anything like that. It takes work and dedication. And I think it's important for people to realize that, because I think they kind of have this skewed idea of how this medication works, probably because they've heard celebrities taking it. And so they just think that this is like a magic pill and that we're not putting in we're not putting in the work. So I think it's important to educate people on how this works and how it's a tool and not an instant fix. I cannot stress that part enough. Myth number 4 is that you'll gain all the way back the minute you get off these medications. And that doesn't have to be true for you. Now, I know that there are people that are on this medication and have gotten off of it and have gained the weight. So I guess there's some truth to it, but I think those are people that really just kind of looked at this medication as like a magic pill and really weren't doing a lot of lifestyle changes. So if you're on this medication and you're really using this time to practice mindful eating and learn about portion sizes and prioritize protein and just learning how to make better food choices and incorporating movement into your day. If you're doing all of those things and those things become a habit, then I think that if you're off this medication, you have a chance at kind of carrying those things over. And that's what my hope is. My hope is to eventually get off this medication. And because I've been working hard on implementing these things now, I'm hoping that I'll be able to kind of have the ability to continue with them even after Zepbound. We'll see. And, I'm not too proud to admit that maybe sometime down the road, if I have to get back on this medication, I'll do that happily. I'm not ashamed of being on this medication. Obviously, if I was, I wouldn't, be sharing my journey here on YouTube. So I guess to summarize, it can be true, but it doesn't have to be true. I think a lot depends on how you're using your time on Zepbound. Our last myth is that using these medications is cheating. And that one really bothers me, because taking your health seriously and prioritizing your health is not a game. And so the idea of it being cheating is just annoying, but we would never accuse someone that needs to take high blood pressure medication as cheating. And we would never accuse someone that needs to take insulin as cheating. And so I really don't see this as any different. And I think it's because there's so many people out there that still think it's as simple as calories in, calories out. Now, I will admit I was one of those people before I really understood how complex obesity is. So while that plays a huge part in being overweight, there's a lot of other things at play. There's hormonal imbalances that can affect it. There's genetics. So no, it's not just a matter of willpower or eating less, moving more. There are so many underlying factors that contribute to, I just saw a stray cat, can contribute to excess weight and not being able to lose weight. So for me, this medication has made it possible for my body to function, I think, the way it should. And it's really given me my life back. It's been life-changing for me. And I absolutely am so happy that I trusted my doctor when she recommended this as an option. And it's given me control over my life. I really do feel like it's given me control over my life because I felt so helpless before starting this medication. Helpless and hopeless. I really did. I just felt like this was almost like my lot in life and that I couldn't change it, that I had let my weight get so out of control. I was 214 pounds before I started. And I just felt like I had tried to lose weight so many times before, and sometimes I was successful, but it didn't last. More recently, I just couldn't because I just couldn't stop eating. And so this medication has given me my life back. It's given me control, and I'm not ashamed. I'm very proud of the fact that I'm on this medication. I'm proud of the fact that I made the decision to start this medication when there's so much controversy about it and a lot of negativity for those of us that are on this medication. So no shame in using it as a tool. But anyhow, I know this is getting really long, but I did just want to kind of give you some ideas of things you could say if someone should bring up your weight. So if you're going to be seeing friends or family that you haven't seen in a while, there's a good chance that they're going to notice that you've lost weight and want to talk about it. They might mention it. And I know that nowadays you're not really supposed to talk about it, but you know, my mom always used to say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And so I think a lot depends on how, like the intention behind the compliment, or, you know, whether it's like a compliment or if it's a backhanded compliment, things like that. So I think a lot of it just depends, but obviously, you know, we're all different and a lot of it depends on your comfort level. So if someone should bring up your weight loss and ask you, you know, oh my goodness, you know, you look great. What are you doing to lose weight? But you don't feel comfortable sharing that you're on a weight loss medication, then I think it's perfectly fine for you to just say, I'm prioritizing my health by making, you know, better food choices, and I'm trying to exercise, and just kind of keeping the focus on the things that you're doing in addition to the medication. Is it a lie by omission? Yes, probably. But I think, you know, you don't owe an explanation to anybody. So I think it's okay if you just kind of steer the conversation to the other things that you're doing, and then you don't have to feel like you're really lying. So obviously that's a no-brainer, but I just wanted to share that because I know sometimes, like, I think I make things more complicated than they are. And I'm like, oh, you know, what would I say if this person asks me this or that? Of course, if you feel comfortable, by all means, share and let people know that this medication is amazing, because there's so much misconception out there, as we've already discussed. And that's actually really why I started this channel in the first place. I just wanted people to know how amazing this was. And so, yeah, I say if you feel comfortable, do a little bit of myth busting, let people know that this medication is amazing and it doesn't have to be, you know, horrible. And of course, you could just not talk about it and just say something like, oh, I'm just focusing on my health in a way that, you know, feels right to me. And just like that, see how that was kind of like an awkward pause? Like, just kind of don't say anything else after that, and let them know that you're not willing to talk about it anymore. So yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but sometimes that awkward silence kind of stuns people into changing the subject. So just something to consider. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more tips on GLP-1 medication and just kind of following along for some insights on my weight loss journey. Also, if you haven't already, you might want to take a look at this video where I debunk another myth. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.